I have a theory about what a black myth, Zhong Kui, might look like. If black myth Wukong reimagined the Monkey King's rebellion against heaven, then Zhong Kui, the demon slayer, the adjudicator between realms, would naturally become a mirror held up to the system itself. And in that mirror, I see two possible storylines. The bound god. Zhong Kui, the famed demon slayer of the three realms, discovers he is trapped in an invisible net. This net was not woven by demons, but by the countless articles of heavenly and infernal law, unwritten rules, and exchanges of favors. He possesses the skills to slay demons and vanquish evil, yet he finds his hands tied at every turn, unable to move. The player's mission is to shatter these shackles that bind justice and allow Zhong Kui to be reborn. The fallen adjudicator. This version is much darker. After a millennium of weathering the system, Zhong Kui has long been corroded by its darkness and filth. He has witnessed too many blatant lies being upheld as truth and carried out too many groundless orders. He is no longer an avatar of justice, but a cold enforcer of order, a tragedy, a figure warped by the system. The player's mission is to defeat him, to deliver him. In other words, to execute a necessary mercy killing on a decadent symbol. You might ask, why would I make such dark predictions? Let's first interpret China's most prominent cultural symbols from the past 2 years. First, let's look at the game that sold 1 million copies, Black Myth Wukong. In the world of Black Myth Wukong, the heavenly court is no paradise. It's a dark regime that will stop at nothing to maintain its absolute authority. The great sage, equal to heaven, who pursued freedom and challenged authority, was naturally a thorn in their side. So they orchestrated a meticulous plot, colluding with 5 great demon kings to annihilate the real Sun Wukong 500 years ago. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. The crimes committed by the heavenly court throughout the 3 realms are beyond enumeration. They secretly used deities within their own system, like the Star Lord Maori, as guinea pigs for horrific biological modification experiments, torturing a god until nothing was left but a skeleton. For what? For more powerful, more controllable tools of enforcement. To suppress and contain the growing influence of Buddhism, they went so far as to manipulate the reincarnation of Red Boy, turning him into the prince of a genocided Yaksha tribe. They single-handedly orchestrated the downfall of the Bull Demon King's family, turning father against son and husband against wife. A happy family was thus sacrificed for a power struggle among the Hiryu PS. Under the rule of the heavenly court, no dissenting voice is allowed. When the 4th spider sister merely wanted to escape this suffocating life, she was immediately and ruthlessly captured by the dispatched Dharma protectors. Those who obey prosper, those who defy perish. What does this tell us? It tells us that in this black myth universe, the greatest demon of all is precisely that supreme authority which proclaims itself to be righteous. And even insiders like Erlang Shen are caught in the gears, unable to act freely. Unwilling to see a hero fall, he could only secretly preserve the embers of Wukong's rebellion. The entire game story follows the player, the destined one, who inherits Wukong's unyielding will, step by step tearing off the heavenly court's mask of hypocrisy and launching a final challenge against this long-corrupt dark order. This is not an isolated case. If you think Black Myth Wukong is an anomaly in the gaming world, then look at another phenomenal blockbuster that detonated the Chinese film market, Nuzha. You think it's just a cartoon for kids? You couldn't be more wrong. The conspiracy it reveals is deeper and darker than Wukong's, perhaps even more so. The story goes something like this. Nuzha and Albion survive the heavenly tribulation, but Albion loses his physical body. To save his friend, Nuzha takes Albion's soul to a sacred place for immortals, the Jade Palace of the Chan sect, to participate in the immortality trials, hoping to win a treasure that can reconstruct a physical body. At first, they believe it to be a righteous trial, a mission to vanquish demons, but soon they realize something is wrong. Some of the demons they capture are just ordinary beings wanting to live in peace. Some are even righteous individuals like Shen Gongbao's father, who taught young demons to be good. A colossal conspiracy is unveiled. It turns out the supreme leader of the Jade Palace, the boundless celestial elder, is no benevolent immortal, but an ultimate conspirator willing to sacrifice anything to consolidate his own power. The so-called immortality trials are a sham from start to finish. All the captured demons are not re-educated, but secretly thrown into his alchemy furnace and refined into immortal pills to bolster the Chan sect's power. And in the upcoming investiture of the gods, in order to gain an absolute advantage and simultaneously eliminate the Dragon Clan, a potential threat beyond his control, he plans a shocking atrocity. He secretly turns some of the Dragon Kings, stages the massacre of Chentang Pass, and then perfectly frames the East Sea Dragon Palace for the entire atrocity. In other words, this entire world is a massive fraud, meticulously designed by the highest authority and built on a foundation of lies and sacrifice. Noja, kept in the dark, believes the Dragon Clan murdered his parents and destroyed his home. In a boundless rage, he charges towards the East Sea. The truth is only revealed at the last moment. Noja, Albion, the Dragon Clan, the people of Chentang Pass, all of them were merely pawns for the boundless celestial elder to consolidate power and eliminate dissent. At the end of the story, Noja, having recognized his true enemy, joins forces with his friends to defeat this sanctimonious, hypocritical deity, exposing the ugliest darkness beneath a holy halo. Do you see it now? In Black Myth, Wukong, the Heavenly Court, is the main villain. In Noja, the Jade Palace, representing Orthodox divinity, is the main villain. Both are sanctimonious, both hold the power to define good and evil, yet both engage in the filthiest deeds behind the scenes. They brand rebels as demons and package conformists as gods. One turns men into monsters, the other refines monsters into pills. Essentially, both are inverting black and white, turning the universe upside down. What's fascinating is that in the investiture of the gods, the rival of the Chan sect is the Ji sect. The doctrine of the Ji sect is that there should be no discrimination in teaching. Anyone, human or demon, can cultivate the path. The Chan sect, however, emphasizes a pure lineage. Those who are not of our kind must have a different heart. One is inclusive, the other exclusive. So we come to the core question. Why have China's two most prominent and successful cultural symbols of the moment, in unison, aimed their spears at the supreme heavenly court? Why are they both telling a story where the system itself is the original sign? To answer this question, we must shift our gaze from the works to the people who created them. Feng Ji, the core producer of Black Myth, Wukong, and Jiaozi, the director of Noja. They share one major commonality. They are both part of China's post-80s generation. To understand the Black Myths of today, you must understand what kind of generation the post-80s are. They are an unprecedented and unrepeatable generation. They were born at the tail end of China's poorest era, yet grew up during the most dramatic economic boom in human history. Their childhood may have been flashlights and forever brand bicycles, but their adolescence was quickly filled with television, telephones, KFC, Japanese anime, and Hollywood blockbusters. In other words, in 20 years, they experienced 100 years of Western social change. This rocket-like experience instilled in them a deep-seated belief, a faith in the religion of development, that the world progresses linearly, that tomorrow is always better than today, and that hard work will be rewarded with fair returns. However, when they reached their 30s and became the backbone of society, ready to make their mark, they discovered the times had changed. The high-speed train that had been hurtling forward for 30 years began to decelerate violently, even showing signs of moving backward. They became the most conflicted generation in history. They missed out on welfare housing allocation but were saddled with crushing mortgages. They are single children, yet face the extreme pressure of caring for 4 parents above and a child below. They were hailed by officials as the strong nation generation, yet in reality they are squeezed into being beasts of burden and leeks to be harvested by the blessing of 996 and involution. They were promised a bright future since childhood, only to grow up and find that the future had long been marked with a price tag they simply couldn't afford. What happens when this massive rift between ideals and reality, this bottomless sense of disillusionment, crashes against a high wall with Chinese characteristics? They cannot protest on the streets like Westerners, nor can they speak freely on social media. The long tradition of literary inquisition has taught them to express themselves in a more subtle, more profound way. They have encoded all their anger, unwillingness, and reflection into these familiar myths. Is the corrupt, bureaucratic Heavenly Court and Jade Palace, which view all living beings as straw dogs, really just about the power structures in mythology? Is the Wukong who would rather die than submit, the Neja who roars, "My fate is my own to decide, not heaven's," really just a mythical character? No, they are allegories, javelins, and daggers. And nothing embodies this structural predicament more than the video game license freeze that nearly wiped out an entire generation of Chinese game developers. Just a few years ago, a single administrative order from the Heavenly Court instantly froze the entire Chinese gaming industry. For several years, no new games could be released. Countless small and medium-sized teams full of talent and dreams like those of Feng Ji and Jiaozi silently collapsed and disbanded. This was a precision strike against the creativity of an entire generation. They could have created countless great works for this country, but they were crushed under the heel of the very system they once wanted to celebrate. Do you understand now? Why are their works filled with skepticism towards authority and distrust of the system? Because they have personally experienced what it feels like to be crushed by that vast, invisible Heavenly Court. So everything we see today, Wukong's revenge, Neja's defiance, and our dark speculations about Zhong Kui's fate are no longer simple entertainment products. They are a collective cry from China's post-80s generation after experiencing hope and disillusionment. They have inherited the Chinese literati tradition of using history as a mirror and the past to critique the present, but they do it more thoroughly, more decisively. They are using their talent to inject a brand new soul into those ancient myths and legends. They are telling the world, the hero our generation understands is not the Buddha of triumphant strife who was co-opted and became a gatekeeper for the Heavenly Court, but the great sage equal to heaven, who died on the road to the West 500 years ago, unyielding to the very end. They no longer believe in the Zhong Kui who is part of the establishment, the one ennobled as the true lord of demon slaying. They are more concerned with what Zhong Kui will do when he faces a system more terrifying than any demon. They desperately want to change the status quo, only to find that the only weapons in their hands are the keyboard and the drawing pen. But do not underestimate the power of this pen. They are reshaping a nation's collective subconscious. They are defining heroism for the next generation. From this perspective, Feng Ji, Jiaozi, and the thousands upon thousands of post-80s creators like them are themselves the true destined ones of this era. They are launching the most magnificent resistance of our time against that decrepit Heavenly Court, which seeks to stifle all free thought.